We're ready to begin. Spawning in the south of the map in the color teal, playing as the Germans. You might think it's the Russians, but the flag has indeed been upgraded. I'll say no more. Building an early trading post there. Conqueror playing, starting with that. Not sure if he got hunting dogs. Certainly something he could do with the market. But whilst I was prattling on and getting everything set up, maybe Drongo was paying attention.
There's no hunting dogs yet, not from Conqueror, didn't look like.
Okay, I didn't see what treasures he got or anything like that. And I suppose we can check actually here by clicking on the villages. We can see their gather rate. So neither has hunting dogs just yet, although you do have that market. So maybe something they'll look to do if they can find a nice wood treasure. There's a coin treasure in his base here, which might enable that as well. But the matchup will be Germans versus British. So far, so good.
I'm really looking forward to the matchup. It's an interesting matchup with Brit often opting for forward manners to provide line of sight so that the German raids are going to be well forecast. So I really like this matchup. My money is on Knuschelbär. I'm hoping that the Brits are going to pull this one away, but we'll see what Conqueror can come up with. Obviously, the Germans have got a lot of options, so I'm suspecting he's going to be looking for a more fortress-orientated strategy, and we'll see if we can determine what strategy he's going to go for based on the card that he ships. The most common strategy that we see is something like the 3 settler wagons, 700 wood, and then the 700 coin, which is a more cav combat timing, but he might go something a little bit earlier, or we could even see some H2 fighting out of him.
Yeah, I was just marveling at how at the sort of the speed at which the Jaguar is fighting. I wonder if I'm going to have to press play fast every now and again, just to speed through some of these treasures. Otherwise, it might actually be. Oh, I'm still on play fast. Goodness me. Let's put it back to normal. We've rushed through it a bit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle it. Germany opening with the settler wagons, but obviously no surprises there. As you mentioned, Germany often very good at that fortress age timing. So I think, yeah, you're right. There are two things that Germany might look to do, and that's stop British booming too hard by sort of being aggressive early on with some raids, like you say. But ultimately, it's that fortress age timing that they really, really like, right? Those big, powerful Ulan shipments, the 8 skirms, which also come with Ulans and so on. Interesting to note in his deck, he actually has, Conqueror here got the Black Riders as well as Jaegers. So two big mercenary shipments.
The thing that I'm noticing is just how heavily orientated his deck is towards the industrial age. So we've got 9 doppels in there, 12 skirms, as well as, is it 3 horse artillery down there in the 4th age as well?
Yep.
So
26 population, my friend.
Some huge shipments that he's potentially got. So we might even see some industrial action out of him.
Yeah, he's definitely got the tools for that. But shall we take a look at the British player's deck? Knuschelbär here. He's now going up to the colonial age. Has schooners in there as well as some water potential, which I think was actually lacking from Conqueror's deck. So could well at some point start making some fishing boats, and certainly has the tools he'll need to defend the ocean if that's sort of where he's going. But now all the villagers switching on over to wood. We do have a Gangsaw in queue there. I'm going to speed it up a little bit.
I'm curious to see what his second card choice is. Oh, he actually goes for Virginia Company. Obviously, with opening with Virginia Company and the trading post means he's able to get it in really quite early. But he's got a lot of options in this deck. There's the Schooners option as well, which is a card that's somewhat hotly contested at the top about whether you need it anymore. In the original, with fishing boats costing 100 wood, and Schooners bringing it down to 40, it was a necessity if you wanted to water boom. But in the definitive edition, with boats costing 70 wood and Schooners only bringing it down to 50, some people say it's not really needed anymore. So,
yeah, and I think that's a really good thing to bring up, actually. I think it's one of the better EP changes, or it's a good EP. It's an example of a really good EP change where, yeah, having to send a card to go water means you, in Age 1, like that means you have to commit to like a really hard water strategy because you have to send a card to do it, or you don't commit at all and you play land, because without it you just can't go water. So I think the game wasn't in a good spot there where you make water this giant choice. Now fishing is something you can always do, and schooners just helps you do that even more if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to send schooners just to drop a dock in the mid game sometime when the hunts are running out, or even to open with just a small dock on maps like Korea where there's a small number of fish or something like that. So yeah, nice to bring that up. But I suppose there's not too many things to talk about, just because the game's moving so slowly. But both players are nearly up. It looks like British just got here. He's gone up with the outpost and 200 coin. And that outpost, let's put it on play fast for a little bit and sort of see where he goes. Going to build out in the center of the map here. And as you alluded to earlier, a couple of these manors here, just giving a bit of line of sight. Another one going down there. So just lots of them stationed out around the map. Just to see any incoming raids and make sure he's okay. But I think it looks like he's electing to do something a bit more aggressive, or this British player, by sort of taking that forward map position with the outpost there, rather than putting it in base to hold any timing Germany might come at him with later. Knuschelbär, let's switch on over to him. Pardon me, Conqueror, the German player. Opening with 3 settler wagons here. Really powerful shipment. And then after that, I think also, as you said earlier, we'll see what he really intends to do. Judging from his deck, though, it is much more fortress and industrial based than anything in colonial, and 700 coin coming, which I think indicates to us that he is indeed looking to semi-FF. That stable coming down as well, get a few cavalry out, and we'll see them roaming around the map, trying to do some damage. 3 settler wagons coming in, and now 2 Uhlans on the board. Drongo, let's see if they can get any kills. These mana's going to give him lots of vision, but will that save the villages or not?
Look, I'll be incredibly surprised if Noosh loses anything to these Uhlans. He's going to have so much warning that these things are coming in. He's got the outpost providing line of sight. He's got the manor houses. So if he misses this one, he's asleep at the keyboard. So someone needs to send someone over there to wake him up.
All right, well, they're going in now to speed it up very, very slightly. Looks like, though, one villager does get swung at. And another, but I think they're going to be okay. They're still idling, 10, 11 villagers, so these Uhlans are absolutely achieving something. Doesn't necessarily need to get a kill. However, on the other side, if he'd elected to go on this side, raid from the other side where the mine wasn't, he might have been able to get some of these villagers. Although one villager is actually going to go down.
Wow, all right, there it is.
But he exchanges both Uhlans for it.
Overall, not a bad trade. I think if I get to take out both Uhlans and be guaranteed that they're not going to be coming back, I think I'd be happy to take that trade as the Brits. Ideally, you don't want to be losing any vills, but, we're playing at the top echelon here, so you can't always play perfect games.
I'm feeling like I'm not actually sure you want to lose those Uhlans in exchange for a vill. I'm not sure that's actually a good trade for Germany. I mean, their win condition is going to be a big timing in the Fortress Age, or maybe the Industrial Age, and you want to keep as many of those units alive as possible. You're going to be shipping more Uhlans anyway, and you're going to be getting them for free as well. So you're going to get that veteran tech, and the fewer you have, the less they get upgraded, and that's going to... I don't know, is one villager really worth it there? I mean, sure, you build them all up, but staying in range of the TC, I mean, these are very small things that ultimately won't make too much difference, but it is interesting to talk about them, I suppose. British, though, looks like he has gotten 3 musketeers out. There's another 5 going to be spawning here as well, so I very much doubt now he'll have any kind of idle time with these units here to defend against the Uhlans, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any much more idle time, but one of the things that we can tell about Conqueror's build is because he's gone that 700 coin instead of going for 700 wood first, is that he's prioritizing a really fast age up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the next card that he sends is 1,000 coin, and he just goes straight up to the industrial age. It's obvious to him that Noosh isn't applying any pressure as the Brits, even though he's put down that forward outpost. It was almost a little bit of a fake out in a way, because his barracks is back at home and he's only really intent on defending at this stage. And so there we do see the 1,000 coin coming in, and he's going to be heading up to the fortress, to the industrial age. So I'm really excited. I'm a big fan of the current meta that we've got at the moment. It's incredibly greedy. As players get better, they're better at defending, and as a consequence, it means that they're able to play greedier because everybody is getting really good at defending. So everyone just plays even more greedy. Oh,
another brilliant point. I feel like Age 3 gets this rap for being this game where, oh, you just make muskets against each other, ho ho. But when you watch top games like this, it's actually this really intricate and delicately balanced thing where you do actually see players, timing shipments really well with coin, stuff that's natural to us and sort of seems obvious. But with creating this sort of fortress and industrial age gameplay, the shipments of that, just is a feature of the game, really enabling some sort of, I feel like quite different kind of gameplay perhaps to other RTSs. But enough of that. 1,000 coin has arrived. It's on the floor for Germany. He's macroed to age up. He's going to be going up, I expect, with the engineer for two cannons, although Don't quote me on that. I'm not actually entirely certain they have the engineer, but we'll find out in a moment what he's going up with. But yeah, guys, look at this. We said at the beginning of the stream, but if you're just tuning in, look, 3 horse artillery plus the Uhlans, the heavy cannons. This shipment here is guard hussar, 10 guard hussars. It's definitely, you know, a lot of really powerful stuff. And you know, his game plan isn't to stop the British's boom by pressuring him, although he did get that villager kill there in earlier. It's to create a really powerful timing using these, you know, really powerful shipments. Let's switch on over to British, shall we, Drongo? And perhaps you'll talk about what this guy's up to. I mean, he's probably expecting it. Like, by now, someone in the Fortress Age, right, you'd expect your opponent to be coming at you with skirms and Uhlans and what have you. So, probably on his mind, and, you know, he can see the deck as well, can't he?
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's going to be telegraphing his strategy, Conqueror, is by just having that deck in the first place. Often you might put a few extra industrial cards in there and always have the option, but when you don't choose that strategy, then your opponent might be thrown off tempo a little bit. But in this case, I think that Knusch is going to know exactly what Conqueror is up to, because at the 9-minute mark, he should be expecting to see some form of presence on the map. There's been no Ulan raids really beyond that first raid that we saw, and there's just been absolutely no presence. So he's definitely going to know something is up. And yeah. Conqueror's aged up at an incredibly quick time. He's going to be up before the 10th minute into the industrial age. So that's a really quick, fast industrial. That's one of the quickest that there are.
Yeah. Did you know, actually, on Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, the Germans' XP penalty is currently 107%. Which it should be 110%. So interesting, they've for all this time had that 3% leeway that no one's noticed. Or perhaps you have noticed because Germany's really strong. But this strategy he's doing right now is much better because of that bug, let's call it, I suppose. It should be 110% as it is on the ESOC patch. But yeah, interesting thing to say, and I think here it's just coming through, really showing that because that shipment curve is better, it makes a strategy like this more powerful. But he's up, as I said, with the engineer, 2 falconets coming out, and this is where, and yes, the guard hussars coming as well, the Polish winged hussars coming down the mountain.
I'm really excited. I've got goosebumps down my back. I don't know whether it's from the guard hussars coming or whether it's quite cold here because it's still 5 a.m. in the morning.
5 a.m.
But it is exciting nonetheless.
I expect, like most things, it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch these guard hussars take on the veteran hussars of Knusch. And yeah, it's I can see that Knusch is already anticipating the guard hussars just straight away, beginning to train dragoons. He knows what's coming.
Yeah, and I mean, all this time, I really like what Knusch has been up to. He's gotten his, how many manas are we on? 20. He got his 20 manas down ASAP. He knew he had the time because of the fast industrial that was telegraphed to him that was coming. And he's been having all these units stationed around near the manas, expecting any kind of raids that might be coming in. He's not, you know, worried about having his units spread out and having them caught and snared and killed or something. Crack shot coming in! Goes down the hussar. Nice use of the explorer there, and perhaps he can get it up back in time for the ability to be recharged. But yeah, not worried about his units being snared or something like that. He knows his opponent doesn't have a big force just yet, but it will be coming very soon. But yes, as you say, dragoons coming out, and he's got a few longbowmen there. He's got a few muskets. I expect we'll see them being upgraded at some point. It's got the wood for it. Just needs to gather some coin. Although more longbowmen sort of now on the way. Shall we switch over to Conqueror? I think that's what everybody wants to see. 3 war wagons coming out. Can he get the 4th one coming in? And I think this is where we'll see the big push, so to speak. A couple of hussars getting a few kills in here. But I think with that batch of war wagons, Drongo, we can expect the game to start in earnest. But he's gonna look at all these hussars. I'm not sure this isn't good. He doesn't want to lose them.
This is a lot of hussars. And now one of the things is Conqueror lost his explorer, and he can pay 100 coin to ransom it. And normally I wouldn't be an advocate for it, but because he's in the industrial age, he's obviously got that crack shot, and it's a situation where I'd be saying, Conqueror, hit that button, get that explorer back, and start taking out enemy troops immediately. Because that crack shot, it's got a short cooldown, and you're able to take out a 200 resource unit on your cooldown. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him purchase the explorer back and start to use that explorer more aggressively.
Yeah. I mean, I do like what Knusch has been up to, which is just trying to get something done, but I suppose he is delaying the push by being annoying here, like forcing these war wagons and stuff to does get the settler wagon, which is really nice. This raid much more successful than the last. Manages to get that unit without being caught, which is really important to hold against this big defense, because ultimately it's not the German villagers you need to be worried about. Although if he gets caught here, it looks like those hussars, they might get caught yet. Is he going to catch the snare? The dragoons get snared by 1-all. I'm not too worried about them. They have a lot more speed, 7.25. It's these hussars up the top there. If they get caught, that's a really, really big problem. It looks like, though, he has ultimately managed to get away, and the danger being forced more to the dragoons here. They are snared a little, trying to get away. These trees sort of in the way. Might have to pull some units off. Musketeers coming in melee combat, not upgraded to veteran. Does scare away the units, and it looks like he will be able to reconvene with his hussars from earlier. Let's switch on over to him. Knuschelbär here has culverins in queue. Absolutely what he needs to handle the heavy cannons, and he'll know there are 3 horse artillery in his opponent's deck as well. Okay, so far so good. He's also got the arsenal there, although yeah, so he's got infantry breastplate, or is that just veteran longbowman? I'm not sure, but either way, an arsenal's going to give him some upgrades. What do you think of these culverins? What are we going to see here?
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. Culverin are exactly what he needs. He's going to know that these heavy cannons are along the way. I don't think he's been able to spot these yet, but obviously preempting it, and so getting those culverin in queue already. Incredible.
Oh, big boy blast! Those poor longbowmen. Pardon me, I cut you off there.
No, those heavy cannons are just so impressive, aren't they? I love them.
They are gonna, and it's actually a really good idea to start destroying these manor houses. I don't really think Nush cares about rebuilding his manors to get vills in the face of this giant army, but Conqueror definitely cares about the kill XP, which is actually disproportionately high on a manor. It's higher than it ought to be, just to encourage you to sort of siege them. So with these heavy cannons, it's going to pick up 81 kill XP pretty easily here. Although it's buying him time, I don't really think Nush minds. Who cares about the manors? What he's getting is cavalry combat. He's managed to push the game long enough to get this upgrade in, and that's going to affect not just his hussars, but also his dragoons. British cavalry combat affects all cavalry, so that's really what he needs to keep up with the strength of these industrial age units. We're looking at winged hussars. We're looking at heavy cannons. I'm not sure if the culverin has been spotted yet. He's only made the one. Probably sensible. Doesn't want to overcommit to them, perhaps, although 2 would certainly be safer. But Germany not looking to push in. Maybe he smells something's up. He's getting back here, sort of going home. Shall we switch on over to him? Firstly, I'll note 2 more culverins actually in queue and about to pop. Ranged cavalry caracol coming in at the saloon. They're mostly training dragoons, so you're going to get that +2 range and that 10% attack for them. But as I said, Conqueror, let's switch to him and see what's up. 14 skirms coming in, +4 war wagons.
Jeez, look at that shipment. Isn't that just insane? So many units. So that's crazy. The real power of Germany, as you mentioned earlier, they've got that shipment XP bug at the moment, which is not what's on the EP. So it's being used to its full power right here.
Yeah, but he's got eyes on it. That native scout walks past this whole army.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Native scout. So he would have been scouting those heavy cannons. So the culverin weren't necessarily preemptive. He knew that those heavy cannons were going to be on the way. And the number of culverin that he's got out, I think he's got the 3 culverin. That's the sweet spot. That's the magic number. Yeah. It's going to enable him to one-shot the heavy cannons.
Here we go. So, their culverin's coming in, but they're a little bit out of position. Don't think they got scouted by the trees. Or if they did, they're kind of safe now. Dragoons coming forward, taking a few shots. It's worth pointing out that dragoons trade reasonably well against war wagons. War wagons don't actually have a range resist. Trees here. I think he's using the trees to his advantage. I like the stagger mode on the longbowman. The extra spacing is going to defend against the blasts. Going to choose his hill to die on, which will be this lump of trees here. I think this is a good position for a fight.
Heavy cannons attacking. Oh, another beautiful blast.
Takes down the first heavy cannon. The falconets and the heavy cannon, they get spooked. Going to back off a little bit. Second volley, but not onto the cannons there. Just onto the war wagons, not too much damage. Conqueror, good control on those cannons, trying to keep them away. But he does feel a bit locked out of this fight. His powerful unit here is the cannons, and they're not really all that useful because of the culverins here.
Can we take a look at Conqueror's base and see what's happening? Because I understand at the moment he's got a whole bunch of idle
Pardon
villages.
me, I was just so excited.
No. I think Noosh has managed to pick off quite a few, with Conqueror only down to 18 settlers at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think while this has all been unfolding, so the main fight continues raging on, he's lost a whole bunch of settlers back home.
What happened to the culverins are still there. He's still got, I think there's 2 there, so did manage to take one of them down. And it looks like he's actually been able to defend reasonably. Blue is I think was given enough time. He managed to mass enough Dragoons. And is able to snipe down these final 2. Yeah, going in for the... takes down all of the artillery here. And now I think Germany doesn't really have what he needs to win this. And as you mentioned, he's lost quite a few villages. And British being British is... Let's switch on over to him. 57.
Yeah, he's having a great time, isn't he? He's just doing his thing. Just Brit things.
3 horse artillery coming in. So a few more artillery units now. He'll need to manage them really effectively in order for them to be useful. But up against this army, artillery in general not super useful. Not going to be good against Dragoons. Culverins here are pretty scary. But does have a lot of war wagons.
Yeah, the fact that those culverins are still left over, despite being able to take out the first round of artillery, it's a huge help for Knusch, and it puts him in a great spot, because it means that all of the resources that he's got, he's not going to have to worry at all about training further culverins. The 2 culverin are going to do their job, and as long as he keeps them alive and safe from the war wagons, those horse artillery aren't going to be any threat to him whatsoever.
Dragoons coming in for a cheeky raid. Not that great against villagers, but a fast unit with... range is still going to be pretty good at raiding, even if they do half to villages.
Yes.
Going to force even more villagers off the mine there. War wagons being called back to handle it. All of them sort of going home there. There's not a lot of... and the artillery going to have to go home as well. So Knuschelbär doing a good job of keeping the German FI back, and that's all he really needs to do. He has the eco. The only threatening thing is the German shipment curve, which I think is getting older and older, and therefore less powerful. And the more he can drag this game out, obviously the British will be in a really fine position to go ahead and win the game. And I think he is in a great spot to do that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. In this position, Knusch is in quite a big lead. The Dragoons, as you mentioned earlier, they do so much better than the war wagons in the Dragoon fights. In the Fortress Age, it's really common to see Dragoon and Dragoon fights and skirmisher fights, and so this is one of the few fights that Germany does actually lose, just primarily because, as you mentioned, the war wagons don't have that range resist. They've got melee resist.
Posturing up on the sort of side of the map here where his villages are. I like to see that. You see the villagers mining and hunting, and that's where his army is sticking close to it. Horse artillery going down. One of them low HP, one of them dead there. Does get away from the culverins though, whilst the main fight sort of happens here. The horse artillery sort of zoned out of the fight, not useful. 2 artillery of his own coming in, falconets. And that is almost all of the horse artillery going down. Uhlans coming in on top of the culverins now, very close to the falconets as well, although the Dragoons paying quick attention to that will take them down, but at least the threat of the culverins mostly gone, although that one not quite dead. Yeah, and that's going to be the game there. Conqueror coming in with GG. Game number 1 in this best of 3.
Really, really good game. I love watching a fast industrial, and I think the way that Knusch handled it was absolutely perfect. He continued delaying the attack. He pressured Conqueror, sending hussars in over and over and over again, and just setting him back, making sure those war wagons never really got to leave the base. And it meant that at the same time he was able to build up a mass, he was able to get culverin out, and it meant that when the push came, he was completely ready. He was fine. So I don't think Knusch ever really had a doubt in his mind about how he was going to handle that game, and he played it incredibly well. So great game and well played.
Yeah, I think the final thing to add before we get into the second one is let's take a look at that villager curve. There was that fight or that raid happening at some point. It just stops training villagers once he gets to the industrial age there, or is losing them to raids. And then there's a big raid that you pointed out, going from 25... let's go to villager population, actually. That'll be a more useful indication. Going from 32 population down to 23 there, so losing like nearly 10 villages, 9 villages actually. So, yeah, nicely held, nicely done from Knuschelbär. Despite having 107% shipment penalty, Germany still not able to win that one out. But we saw the potential they had there at least. Shall we get into the next game, Mr. Drongo?
Let's do it.
All right, then.
So the map that we've got coming up, let's have a look.
Yeah.
It should be Grand Chaco.
Grand Shaco. All right. I've hidden it from the viewers so they cannot see how many games in total are in the series. And now I will load the recording up, and we shall resume. All right. Are you ready to start?
Let's do it.
Okay, just checking the chat, making sure. I don't think I have a way to show the score because I didn't set up a scoreboard, but I did set up a Hold up. There's a red box on my Oh no, I know what that is. It's not viewable to the stream. Okay, let's get into this. Switching over now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 in this best of 3 series between Knuschelbär and Conqueror. I'm not sure who's on which team, but I think it is the Garjonians versus the Little Lieutenant Colonels. Spawning on the top of the map in the color blue, we do indeed have Knuschelbär, our winner from the previous game. This time playing as the Inca. That llama going to do a bit of scouting to start with. Get out on the map, see if he can find some treasures that he might want to take. But ultimately, I expect him to bring that home and eat it sort of around the 3-minute mark so he can get that Queen's Festival big button from the Kancha. And as we can see, a couple of villagers on wood. I expect most of these to go onto coin, though, in order to get the required coin for the big button from the house. And villagers going into the TC and switching right on over. First Kancha coming down there as well. And I expect we shall see all of the things I said. Let's take a look at the explorers here. Coupled quite close together. Not able to check the treasure log, but I don't think anything super important has been taken just yet. What's going on? Oh, there we go. I can move properly now. Supply of manioc root worth 100 food. Interesting.
Oh, that's very interesting.
But I don't appear. I don't understand. I'm not connected to a service, so. Like,
wow. Okay.
All right. Well, let's try it again and hope it doesn't do it again, and then we shall resume. It's quite fun. Switch chat finds it funny. It is quite funny. I'm not really sure how that's possible, to be honest. But
definitive edition things, eh?
That's right. Let's load it up again and see how it goes. All right. Let's do it again. I'll use the play fast so you don't have to sit through it all. And we can get back to where we were. In the meantime, his opponent, Conqueror, playing on the south of the map in the color Maito, as the Indians here. Back to the treasure contention where we went out of sync. And,
no, that's not good, is it?
yeah, I think that's, I'm safely going to assume that this one's not going to load properly. Shall I re-download it and try again? And see if it's the file I got that was no good.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. I'm going to double check on my
Actually,
end.
I have a theory. I have a theory. No, I have a theory. It's not the game, actually. It's me. It's me causing the out of sync, not the game. And I know what it is. Let me fix it, and then we'll get back to it. So this is me putting the definitive edition in a bad light. So hold up. Basically, it's reading from a different Proto-Y that I put there for some weird reason. Don't know why I put it there.
That would make sense.
Yeah. All right. Perhaps you'll entertain everybody whilst I figure out what I did.
Unfortunately, I don't have much entertainment to provide, with the exception of the sun just rising up now. So it's
is it beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful is one word for it. But in Australia, the sun is incredibly dangerous. So we really don't like to go outside because the rate of cancer in Australia really, really high. So we, like most things in Australia, everything just wants to kill you. And the sun is included in that.
Yeah. I have a weird question, but with regards to, do you use, I know air conditioning is obviously to cool you down mostly, but does that also warm you up when it's cold? Like, can you use it as a radiator to heat your house? Or is that not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a thing.
They got a dual use. Okay, guys, I figured out what the problem was. Right, yeah. No, blame me for that one, not definitive edition. But we are ready to resume, and this time it won't go out of sync. If it does, then oh well.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's recap everything.
All right, I'm out of ideas. What do you got?
I gotta restart the game. That's why I'm still using the... Yeah. No, everything's fine still. That happened because I didn't restart the game. But when I restart the game, it'll work. That was me. That was not anything to do with the game. Basically, I put a file, I put a different file in place of where one of the files was. So it's reading a different file, which is obviously different to the data being used in the recorded game. And that's what was causing the crash there.
I'm just picturing right now the house is on fire and we're just sitting at the dinner table. Everything is fine.
No, everything really is fine. Don't worry. It didn't happen in the last game because none of the units that I would that I'd modified. This is not a dev build. This is a regular build. It's just it doesn't matter. Right, recorded game number 2. Let's get back into this.
All right, I can feel this one. This one's going to work.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this one will not go out of sync. It will work properly because I have done all of the things or I've removed all of the things that you shouldn't do to your game, and now it will work as intended. Let's turn off view lock. Let's turn off fog of war and introduce the players. I'll do it on fast speed for the benefit of the stream. In the north of the map, in the color blue, we do indeed have Knuschelbär playing as the Inca. He will be placing his first Kancha, and most of those villagers going on to gold, indeed, to get the Kancha Queen's Festival big button for the villagers there. In the south of the map, in the color Maito, we do indeed have Conqueror playing as the Indians. He will be doing India things, I suppose. In the game, we managed to get past the bit where we couldn't get past. So everything's all good, all right? Everything's fine. Looks like, though, Conqueror going to be quite pleased with himself. Did manage to get that 100 food treasure really, really nicely. And that's gonna help him have an idleless TC at age 1. Since, of course, getting the Kancha big button does often put you in a tight spot for food. And he might actually not even need to eat the llama. Maybe he'll eat it anyway. No, he's going to eat that starting llama anyway over here. But I think with that 100 food treasure, saving it was an option. Actually, take that back. He does have a bit of idle time. And then the villager will...
I think it's best for him to be idling here, because even though he could train a settler, the time that it takes to build up that 100 food is going to get paid back, because when he hits the big button, he's going to have 4 settlers.
Yeah, exactly. 4 settlers is better than 1 settler, right? I just thought the food treasure would be enough to not have any idle time. Perhaps, I guess I was wrong there. Anyway... still gonna be pleased with 100 food all the same, and gonna sneak in exotic hardwoods as well. Okay, looking to play the greedy version of Inca, where you know, often people will send some llamas or the 300 wood and get some canchas. We're gonna sneak in that bit of extra eco there. And indeed,
it's been a discussion at quite the high level about whether you send this card or not. And the idea is that you're going to be getting all your food income from canchas, and the majority of your villages are going to be on wood. So with the 20% that it provides, it makes sense to be sending it, because it means that you're going to be looking at an extra 2 to 3 villages quite early in the game.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. I think I think the best place for a card like that is matchup dependent and strategy dependent, where if you're up against someone really aggressive or you're expecting something like that, then opening with 300 wood might be better just to get the Kancha boost ASAP, whereas I think this thing might be more long term. But it's interesting, certainly. Let's switch on over to Conqueror and see what he has going for him as well. He'll be aging up with an Agra Fort in the center of the map here, so looking to claim some map control ASAP with that. And perhaps even mount some kind of aggression from it, although I think mostly it's for map control.
Yeah, one of the great things about the Agra Fort is that you can put it down, but you don't actually have to rush with it. You can just plop it down in the middle, secure that hunt, secure the coin mine, secure the resources in that area, but you don't actually have to rush. And so it's quite common that you will see Indian players go for this more fake out opening and then drop down a market and then just do their full market research behind it, and really just play a more economic game. So I'll be curious to see whether we go for that.
Yeah, let's take a look at his deck, shall we? I mean, something to point out is that the market going to get Hunting Eagles and all of that stuff? It's not a consulate. It's not going to be something super aggressive, and I'm not sure that would be a very good decision against Inca, which is pretty unrushable at the moment anyway. So, yeah, just a defensive sort of well, not defensive, but certainly capturing the map as we've pointed out. Let's switch on over to his deck and see what's in there. Distributivism as usual. Nothing particularly unusual there. Lots of options in the Commerce, yes, the one, Commerce Age, and in the Fortress Age as well. But not too many things in Industrial like we saw in the last game, so perhaps going to stick more to those sort of 2 earlier ages there. I think really could do anything and is prepared for, obviously, both. This is kind of what you want, a deck like this, just to keep your options open. And India are always going to be, at some point, getting up, so... an ideal deck, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Shall we take a look at the Inca player's deck? Maybe you'll tell us about it if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, well, it looks pretty stock standard to me. We see the most important card, Chicha Brewing. It'll probably be the very first thing he'll send once he reaches the 2nd age. And then, interestingly, we've got the Heavy Fortifications card in the 4th age. This is a huge flex card. It's going to increase and inflate your score massively. So,
which card? Oh, this thing.
Yeah, Heavy Fortifications.
This one's not too bad, because it only gives you the relevant Inca upgrades. It's actually a separate tech. But yeah, you're right. Usually you get an absolute butt-ton of score from a bunch of techs that actually don't inflate your... that don't do anything. But this one is specifically Inca stuff. So yeah, it's still a lot of score. You're definitely not wrong. But not as much as, say, the European ones, which give you all the war heart upgrades and all the other nonsense you don't need.
All right, well, I think we should need to start a petition so that the Inca are able to get the European upgrades, just so they get to flex as well. Because there's no real feeling like flexing in a team game.
Yeah, you know, that's not actually a very difficult change. but yeah, right. Funny. Joke's over. Looks like he's up to the Colonial Age at 5 minutes, which is pretty good time. 2 of these war huts coming out. Going to place them both into his base. No trading posts on the map that he might want. It's going to place them there, especially up against that sort of forward war hut.
He's got a beautiful little defensive wall here. They're not, the Cancer houses aren't all touching, but at the same time, you really wouldn't want to push through these Cancer houses just because of how your units are going to sort of bunch up. Though, keeping in mind, when you're playing against the Inca, it's the reverse for them because they've got the best pathing unit in the game, which is the Chimu Runner. And so they're just going to be able to slide straight through those walls. So it's a really good position.
Ooh, I like that. Slide through the walls. Yeah. They don't need to be fully connected. I mean, that can be useful in some cases, but ultimately just using them to block off his base, like you say. Foreign logging coming in, followed by diplomatic intrigue here. So this is a very economic-focused build. Let's click on his vills. It's hard to tell what upgrades he has with this current recorded game features, but I think he's got most of the upgrades. 0.6 wood, although that's what you get anyway, isn't it? Like, coin mine might be better. Okay, so he's got some upgrades, but not... I don't think he's got civil servants, imperial bureaucracy just yet. But the point I'm making is, yeah, consulate now coming down. So we've got that wood trickle, going to have lots of wood coming in, getting that 300 export, so we're going to get those auto vills from the consulate and just be playing really economically focused here, which I think is the right thing to do against Inca anyway. Like, being aggressive is kind of hard with those 2 war huts. So, because of that, yeah, going to get his economy going, and we see it coming right now. Ottoman consulate.
Yeah, definitely. I think that when you consider the map, there's no trade route on this map, so it means that both civilizations are going to be playing a little bit slower when it comes to the card order. So in this situation, normally I'd be asking the question, has he sent good faith agreements? But I know that just based on the fact he doesn't have a trade post, he's not going to be able to afford the XP that's required to send good faith agreements. So it's going to be that auto consulate coming out, getting those villages down, and then probably signing out, moving over to the Brits.
Yep. Some wood coming in. 600 wood on the floor there. Good card to boom with, although you do miss out on the 100 wood, so that is one thing Inca doesn't have going for them, I suppose. You do sort of slow yourself down there a little, but ultimately you want all these canchers up, right? 1 food per second, currently a bit bonkers. So lots of canchers, get them out, have a really, really nice boom. That's right. I'm wondering though, what's his? So he's splitting onto Jungle Bowman and Plume Spearman, one of each, going to keep it safe to match his initial 5. So just not really certain what he's up against. You never want 4 Soars just to randomly show up and ruin your day. So he's going to train a few anti-cabs there just to make sure everything is okay, even though we know in this situation it doesn't look like Soars are very likely at all at the moment. It doesn't look like, yeah, 700 coins. So India are actually looking to get up to the Fortress Age and play against Inca from there by the looks of it. The coin going to be used, yeah, mostly macro to food. So I don't know about you, Dronga, but I'm expecting these big elephants to come out, and we're going to start clomping on those canches and so on with the high siege. Makes a lot of sense to get to the industrial Fortress Age here.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where there's no real response that the Inca player is going to have if those siege elephants do come out and start whacking down buildings. He's going to really have to brute force them down and force a fight. Otherwise, it's just going to mean that the Indian player is just going to be able to take out Kancha houses, is going to be able to take out the war huts, and there's not really going to be anything that the Incan player can do. The Inca player is also playing incredibly greedy, so he's sent Chicha Brewing, he sent Exotic Hardwoods, and he's also sent Curare, which is the upgrade card for the Jungle Bowman. So a lot of upgrades here. This almost looks like a 3v3 build rather than a 1v1 build order.
Oh, 700 coin coming in as well. Don't know if that's for like a Chimu switch or maybe he's macroing to age up. We'll have to see. But we know that I sped it up just because the game is, I think, it's just very... Playback's kind of slow here, so I sped through it whilst you were talking. But I think we're in a good spot now because interesting stuff is about to happen. Autocons, Minutemen going to be called towards the forward Agrifort. There they are. Going to try and keep this up. Since he's aging, good time to use it. You don't want that to go down because this is sort of forward building to train units from. Using the range of the Gurkha really effectively. The Jungle Bowman, obviously very powerful unit, but what they lack is indeed range. So the Gurkha are really, really effective here, especially against Inca. And they have quite low hit points, those Jungle Bowmen as well. So Agrifort is going to be doing some hard work. He is going to be up, though. He's going up with the Shamanar Gate, so we will see some Mahouts pop out. And 4 Gurkha arriving just in time as well, so I think he's got everything he needs to hold this pressure.
Yeah, going up with the Shamanar Gate.
Big boy elephants!
Mahouts gonna pop up. There they come.
There he is.
Let's see what he's just going to stampede them in.
Let's see what he gets done. 33 damage area 2 on the weakest, the weak little stick Jungle Bowman with their 90 hit points. They're not going to stand up too well against an elephant. Although, having said that, the Jungle Bowman poison damage is actually very effective against Mahouts, because I think in general, high health units, poison is going to be really good against. So he does have that working against him, but equally they're quite low HP and area damage is really effective against them. So yeah, doesn't manage to get down the Agrifort, and it's quite low hit points, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only at 2100 hit points, so might be a good idea to get this one healed up. But I think for the moment it's still doing its job, even if he doesn't heal it up. And it's really not important that he retains it now that he's aged up to the 3rd age. Nicely
held, though, which is, I think, what I wanted to point out. Managed to keep his cool and didn't lose his Agrifort to the Inca player here. So what do you think's on Inca's mind? He's not managed to take down the Agrifort. He sees his opponents up to the next stage. He's now going to be up against really powerful elephants, or at least that one elephant, and indeed siege elephants are probably coming. So looks like he wants to get up himself. What do you anticipate out of Inca here in the Industrial Fortress Age?
One of the things that I noticed is that he's got the Chimu support card. So it's the 16 Chimus for 1,000 coin, and it also increases the hit points by 15%. So one of the things that I love to do is ship this card together with the melee combat card, because it increases the attack and the defense of the Chimu runners, and then get the elite Chimu upgrade. And once you've got about 30 to 40 Chimus, your opponent just really doesn't stand a chance, and you're able to walk all over the top of them. So that's what I hope he does. I'll be curious to see how he manages to hold the Indian attack, though, because we know it's going to be coming. I suspect the siege elephant's probably going to be out on the field within the next minute to 2 minutes. Yeah,
let's jump back over. I think that's a good... Well, firstly, yeah, you're right. He's going for... Oh, that's 9 Chimu runners, so... But still, could be getting that as a prelude to what you mentioned there. I think it's interesting that there are still some interesting fortress options here for Inca, even though at the moment it does feel like the Bolas Warrior, the Maceman, and maybe not so much the Hereka, but certainly those 2 former units could... not all that powerful at the moment. So, still interesting, cool things Inca can do, and the Chimu Runner's going to be a part of that. Against India in particular, I wonder how effective it will be. I mean, Zambarak's really fast, really effective against cavalry, and Dragoons in general have always been pretty good against Coyote Runners and that kind of unit. So against India, I think less super useful, especially since your villagers are going to be in your base gathering wood mostly because you don't need as much food and stuff. But yeah, Chimu Runners obviously powerful. We know that. What was I going to do though? Let's go to Conqueror and see. Yeah, Siege Elephants coming in, as you said. Let's see what he can get done with them. I think just waiting for that now, and then he can push in with some really powerful things here. Look at Conqueror's score though. It's considerably higher than the Inca players at the moment.
Yeah, one of the things is Inca are similar to the Russians in that their score is typically lower than the European civilizations. So it could be just that thing, but it does look quite high. You are correct. So yeah, definitely in that. Oh, I apologize. Is that? Sorry, I'm just having a look. Is that 18,000 to 14,000?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So he's about 4,000 resources. Sort of behind there, maybe even more now because the elephants have just arrived, which will be boosting his score up. Shall we switch on over to Knuschelbär and see how he's going to handle this? So he needs to mount some kind of defense. These two units are a big deal. They're threatening him. They're taking down buildings. They're being really pesky. Pardon me, I think there was a raid here. Did you notice a Vild? I suppose you were.
Yeah, I didn't manage to see it, but yeah, they're incredibly pesky trying to deal with the Chimney Runners because you can't actually snare them.
Nope.
And so they're just running away at their top maximum speed. They're like little cars that are just so quick.
Yeah. They also get a speed boost in when they attack something as well, which is what all units get when they attack something in melee combat. In fact, all hand infantry and Coyote Runner style units get that speed boost. But part of me wonders if Chimu Runners really should, because they can't snare. So if they don't slow units down, maybe they also shouldn't be sped up or something. But let's go back to these two siege elephants and see what's going on. He's managed to clear out both those war huts. Now moving on to the Kanchas, and I'm not really sure what Knusch has in mind to sort of handle it. Two more war huts, or actually one. This is a Kancha going up to replace those units there. The Jungle Bowman might be a good answer. I don't think the siege elephants are too powerful against units, and the siege damage, pardon me, the poison damage, which is technically siege damage, of these Jungle Bowmen, especially with Curair that he sent, is going to be extraordinarily good against any kind of unit that has high health like this or has a high range resist, because you negate that range resist and that poison damage is just going to be really, really strong. So I think that's kind of his plan, get the Jungle Bowmans in range and then try and get a volley off on the on this and let the poison do its work. But he doesn't really want to get too close, does he? Getting close to his elephants is going to cost him, because those Gurkhas have, you know, now that they're upgraded, they got 19 range, not 18 anymore. They're getting more rangy.
We've also got a Lancer Gurkha there with them as well.
Yep.
So it's going to give them that stat increase. But yeah, these siege elephants are just having a field day. They're incredibly difficult for the Inca player to deal with. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's curious how he's actually going to try and deal with this. Looks like the Gurkha are moving in to take shots at the Jungle Bowman, but with the longer range that they've got, it just makes it so much harder for the Incan player to really fight back.
Yeah, and at this point you need to kind of switch from Jungle Bowman to Haraka to keep up with these long-range units. Just Jungle Bowmen are really good when they can kite, and I suppose, but in this case you have a lot less range, so it's not really super achievable. Especially with Curair, you really want that to take a volley, let the poison work. It's kind of hard here. I think though he's just kind of bleeding out too many units to really be effective. He needed to handle those siege elephants a bit sooner. They've had a lot of opportunity to destroy his Kanchas. They find that rebuilt war hut and take that down as well now. And this could spell the end of the game being kind of near. He's not looking in a great spot.
Yeah, because the whole time Conqueror's been able to rally supporting troops in because he's had his military production buildings alive, whereas Knusch has had to consistently rebuild his military buildings, and they've been taken down again. So that's the third war hut that's going down, and the entire time that that's down, that's a war hut that's not producing units. It's a war hut that's not doing upgrades, and so it means as a result that Knusch is behind significantly.
Yeah. I wonder if a stronghold was the answer to the siege elephants. You can sort of garrison the Jungle Bowman in it, and then when the elephants turn up, you ungarrison. Maybe you can get a volley off against them or something here. Yeah. One Mahout coming in. I think, though, this game, it's just not looking too good. Lots of India units here. And now the spearmen on the front there, going to get pummeled by the ranged units. Recorded game has finished. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that brings the score up to 1-1. I think I'm right. No, I know I'm right.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct. Conqueror lost the first game as the Germans.
Yeah, really. I really like the response there. I think getting those eco upgrades with India. I feel like at the moment a lot of players feel like India is like an aggressive civilization where you have this aggro fort and you can just like make troops and be super aggressive, which you can do, but I think the foreign logging, distributivism, obviously the bonus of free vills, the auto consulate, you have a lot of booming options as well, and that's what he did in this game. He just played it slow, got those upgrades, went to the fortress age, got some siege elephants, and that just seems to be really good against Inca. So nicely played. I really like that.
Yeah, it was a very slow death for Knusch. It was frustrating to watch from his perspective because it just felt so helpless. What do you do against these units? A lot of civilizations can almost just take on the siege elephants head on, but yeah, it seems like the Inca have got a difficult time with it.
I think the slingers are pretty good as well. I mean, a lot of people compare them to Abbas guns, but there's a few elements I think people haven't figured out yet, but they would certainly do quite well. They've got really high range. Siege damage against those elephants is going to negate the ranged. It's just getting a mass of them is, I suppose, the challenging thing. I wonder if opening with Hirakas instead of Chimu would have been potentially something he could have done. Anyway, shall we move on to the next game? I will leave the players to figure out how to handle elephants and such. We have a game number 3 to go into. The score is 1-1, ladies and gentlemen. So this series shaping up to be a close one. Let's see who will win. All right, let's open this up. You good to go straight into the next one, or do you want a quick...
No, I'm all good.
All right. How you holding out? I know 5 a.m. How long have you been up for this?
I had a pretty big nap, so I'm pretty good.
All right, good stuff. Good to hear it. Let's get into this then, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 3 in a best of 3 between Knuschelbär and indeed Conqueror. Spawning on the right-hand side of the map in the color blue, we do indeed have Knuschelbär playing as the Inca again. Didn't win with this civilization, and I believe because of that and the rules we're using New World Championship rules, where you cannot longer, I think you know what I'm trying to say, play civilizations that you have won games with. He's not won with this yet, so we'll be able to play it again here in number 2. Let's turn View Lock and Fog of War off. And I think we'll be very much seeing the same things as last time. Going to get those villagers mostly onto coin to get that Kancha big button. Has 40 wood treasure in base there, but is ignoring it for the time being. Going to get out onto the map. I like that decision, especially as Inca, because your crack shot ability is actually not an insta-kill, so that bear is going to be slowing you down an absolute a lot. So wants to get out on the map. 90 food there. I think ultimately he's going to be looking for sort of coin and food treasures. Those are the two you really want to get the big button in a bit sooner. I mean, I guess wood helps as well, but you start with a lot of wood, so mostly any additional wood's not going to be super useful there. Does find a couple of sheep, and that's the other benefit of getting out onto the map ASAP. His opponent, Conqueror. This guy is also, I think, perhaps the second best now, I'm not sure. First or second best treaty player in Age of Empires 3. Also, obviously, if you're good at anything in Age 3, you're going to be good in Supremacy as well. Conqueror, very, very good player. I think this is quite an even matchup, and I think, the score's 1-1, so that's been proven as well. And he here is going to pick himself up 75 wood there with his Explorer. So, a good early start from him, and with that, going to go for the market there as the Portuguese. And that was going to be really, really helpful for getting, indeed, hunting dogs, which he has exactly 50 coin for. So, good stuff all around. Drongo, you did tell me at the start you'd like to do the analytical stuff. What do you expect from this matchup?
Well, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Portuguese are feeling really, really at home on this map. They've got access to the trade route, and they've got water. They're sitting in a nice little nook, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Conqueror just do some Kinesi-style walls and really commit to going for a heavy water boom. He's started off with the market as well, so he's going to be leveraging that extra bonus that the Portuguese settlers have got on their hunting. So he's really going to be taking advantage of hunting dogs. But yeah, so it'll be curious to see whether Knusch comes out with aggression in response to this, or whether he looks to sort of spend time in his base and do Inca things with his Kancha houses.
Yeah. All llamas coming out. Interesting. So, not going to be going with exotic hardwoods like we saw last game. This time, he wants to use the food to get up a bit quicker, which is, you know, perfectly respectable. And I really like that Inca has these options, and it's not a civ that just picks 3 vills every game to go up with. I think it's kind of interesting. There are different things they can do with their Age 1 cards. And in this case, it's going to give them a huge food boost. So, 2 llamas, actually. That's 800 food. Although you have to remember, they're not crates. They don't gather at 8 food per second. They gather at 2 food per second. So when you consider the opportunity cost of hunting, it's about, I think, about 400 food, maybe less than that, maybe like 370 food or something once you figure out decay and the opportunity cost of hunting. And it's good. It's a lot of food, and it's cool that they have a food shipment that you can actually send. Often 300 food is just never sent, because obviously 300 food is not as good as 300 wood and so on. So going to be using that, get up to the next stage very quickly. And, yeah, could well be opening aggressively. I think regardless of what he does, it's going to be the Chicha Brewing card. I think at the moment that's in a spot where it's kind of unavoidable. You do have to send it first, which is, in my opinion, not necessarily the best place for it. But still, going up first, we'll see how aggressive he's going to be and what he can get done against this Portuguese player who, of course, you know, gets that town centre and can boom and fishing and all of those things.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see what he actually does with the llamas, just primarily because, as you mentioned earlier, they did somewhat fall out of the meta. They were in the meta in the first couple of weeks, but then more 300 wood fell into meta. So, yeah, I'm curious to see exactly how he's going to do it. Has he taken down 1 llama, or is it?
I think he's eaten them both. Yeah, here's the other one. Yeah. He ate them both, and it looks like he just tried to age up super fast with them. Is what he did. Oh, it's still on fast. Good me. Sorry, I want to speed it up a bit just because the game does play back really slow in the recorded game here. But from the Portuguese player, we did see schooners come in, so he will be. I suppose you don't have anything else to send, no villages, so schooners is a good option for ports, right?
Yeah, schooners is a great option for the Portuguese because, as you mentioned, there's no 3 villager shipment for the Portuguese in the first stage, which is the default card for pretty much every civilization that's got it. So it means that the Portuguese have got an open shipment, so you don't really lose anything by sending schooners.
Tambo coming out.
It's good to see as well that Knuschelbär's already scouted this dock as well, so he's going to be well aware of what's going on. It'll be curious to see if he's going to just allow Conqueror to do what he wants on the water and try and deal with himself on land. So we can already see that Knuschelbär's taking a trading post, putting a Tambo down on the second trading post that's closest to Conqueror's base. So maybe we might see him go for the 3 Tambo shipment. Does he have that in his deck on the Incan player?
We can have a look. Does not have 3 Tambos. No, he interestingly built this 1 Tambo here.
Yeah, but all 2 war huts going down really aggressively. Those are fighting war huts.
Those are fighting war huts. You know, you're not wrong there. And that town centre does get found by all these units that he managed to pick up. So the Chasqui that he got for free when he aged, and indeed these other units here, going to start sieging the town centre and get a decent amount of damage on it before it's sort of even up there. But these are definitely fighting war huts, and he's macroed here for making units, and 600 wood. I suppose he wants to get a couple of canchers out as well with that. Hasn't sent brewing, but I'm sure that will be coming at some point.
Yeah, I'm just watching his macro at the moment. It's quite interesting because normally he'd be going a lot more heavy on food.
Stagecoach.
I think this might be a fake out on the fighting war huts. He's gone a bit of a psychological build here because the way that he's macroing is just telling me he's going to only focus on building canchers, at least for the next minute. That's all he really wants to do.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. 600 woods coming in, and now Chicha Brewing on the way. 600 wood shipped to the forward war hut here, which I can only assume is the only reason he would do that is to get the. Actually, there is no reason he would do that. There's nothing.
I don't even think that's a flex at this point. It's it's odd flex, but
I thought for part of me I wanted to say he's gonna ship a forward Chasqui to the forward spawn point, which I think is maybe what happened. Maybe the Chasqui arrived at his age up Chasqui. No, he didn't. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it might just be an accidental thing. But yeah, interesting. I would have thought Conqueror would have. Did he manage to scout that at all?
Caravels.
A unit that was walked past?
I don't know, but some villagers have arrived to eat that now, so it's all good. Caravel does come out. He's got 2 of them so far. Town Center has taken a bit of health. Caravel's just going to defend the anything that's nearby the land, any units there, and also any naval presence that Blue might put on. What I find really interesting is Stagecoach, because he's certainly got the 1 Tambo. Often you want to not even think about Stagecoach until you've got like most of the line, just so you get that free XP when the upgrade comes in. And yeah, he's kind of playing. I mean, it's clearly. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, interestingly, it looked like he sent his unit shipment to his main town center. So I think he's mixed up his shipments a little bit, sent the wood to the front and sent the units to the back. But everything is slowly getting into order. Got the jungle bowman beginning to push in now. See if he can idle some settlers.
Yeah. So now he's got his boom in order. He's got Chicha Brewing. He's got most of the canches. He sent 600 wood to get that all up. And indeed Stagecoach as well. So does have all of that going for him. And now it's time to start training some units to be kind of aggressive with. The Portuguese preempting Town Militia card there. So spending an entire card on getting that up and running. It's going to be really effective, but so far Nush hasn't actually committed too hard to any kind of aggression. And it's, you know, if he notices that card's come in, maybe he'll pivot to some kind of age up and just make that sort of nullify the use of that card. So kind of risky there. It does have the added benefit though of increasing the anti-ship attack. So Town Militia pretty effective there. Should anything happen on the water, it does have that going though. Villager under attack. Looks like it probably will go down.
I don't know what the interactions are with Town Militia and the Inca. I haven't actually had enough time to test it, whether the town centers are going to be one-shotting units. I suspect that they're going to be one-shotting the jungle bowmen, but
yeah, you need 5 villages garrisoned to kill a jungle bowman, because they do that would do 90 damage. And Plume Spearmen, I think, have like 100 and I've forgotten, but you can definitely kill it with 10 vills garrisoned. Oh, here's one. We can click on him. 170. So yeah, you'd need 10 villagers garrisoned to kill that, because then that'd be 180 damage it would do. Sneaking towards the coast.
Those caravels finally coming in handy. Getting their... earning their stipend right there. But I feel like in this position, the Portuguese players probably got the advantage, even though we see Knusch is sort of building up this military. The sky is the limit at the moment for Conqueror. He's got a huge amount of whales that he's going to have access to. He's getting all of his fishing upgrades in. He's shipping rendering plant from the home city, and he's quite happy just sitting in his base. He's got the town militia already sent, so that if he really needs to, he can spend that 800 resources and get that huge batch of veteran musketeers out. Obviously, those veteran musketeers are all on a timer, being Minutemen. But I feel like he's in a great spot here. Saguenay is a really good map for the Portuguese. So yeah, I'm thinking it's looking good for him. How about you? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking this villager's in a nice spot. He's got everything going that he needs for the water. Like, he's basically taken the whole water, right? Early caravels, he's got a coastal TC to defend it. That villager can put down an outpost. He built the dock, clearly. And that would... It's just that the whole water's locked down. And he's in a really good position to take the game late now. What happens on land is obviously important, because that's where battles are being fought. But with that water base that you so rightly pointed out, I don't think he's got too much to be afraid of. And he's gotten, I think, to that point in the game where you sort of climb out of the, that sort of hole that you start in, perhaps as Portuguese, where you don't have villager shipments and you have to maintain production from 2 town centers, and it's all rather challenging. If you can get out of that, you're in a sort of good spot. But we shouldn't write Inca off. 13 canches is he at the build limit there. I think he can make one... Oh no, we'd have to switch players to find out.
Yeah.
He's got 7, so he's still got a few more of these he can build, and he's doing that off the back of the trading route. He's got them all assigned to wood, chose to get this up early, and something that the EP team did very well is that I think water is kind of balanced against land in terms of economy if your Civ has something to keep up, and you can get all of the trading routes, which you can. If your opponent goes water, you can certainly get those. So he's not sort of, I think, look at the scores are very even, so he's not climbed out of that hole yet. Like, this still, I think, is an even game. And Blue is still going to be adding those canches. And Blue isn't falling for the bait of those town centers being, since they're super jacked up with the card, which, a card was spent to get them like that here. We might have a fight here.
Daring him to siege him. Sorry, Interjection, you go for it.
I don't know. I mean, it's not. He's just getting back there. There's a lot of jungle bowmen. What can you say? You don't want to fight them. You haven't got the cav to handle it. There's plenty of spearmen there to stop you.
It's interesting how the fight's breaking out between the two town centers. I don't think that Noosh really wants to get anywhere near those town centers, because obviously he knows that town militia's been sent. It's incredibly dangerous if he gets close, because if he gets snared by the hussars as they're coming in, town militia can pop. So it's important that he fights away from those town centers.
Yeah.
As he's doing right now.
Let's switch on over to him, shall we, and sort of see what he's got in mind. There's a lot of villagers gathering wood, and he's choosing to train crossbowmen sort of against these units, which I think maybe is making... I mean, what do you think of that? Crossbowmen obviously are not heavy infantry, which the jungle bowmen are very effective against. So the crossbow mass seems like it's in reaction against this sort of ranged infantry that muskets might not be sort of overly effective. So go crossbow hussar just to sort of handle this.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reasonable response. It's difficult because with the speed that the jungle bowmen have got, they're just so easily able to kite the enemy cavalry, and so it means that cavalry can be quite a difficult response. So mixing in the crossbows really helps out with that. But we even see right there with the trades that are happening just how easily Noosh is able to pick away at the mass from Conqueror.
Yeah. Something to point out is that jungle bowmen do only have that... it's the same range, actually, as a crossbowman. Oh, well, never mind that. They have the same range as the crossbowman. Fair enough. Yeah, so... I like the one thing I'm finding here is that crossbowmen are not the most cost-efficient unit to train, at least before upgrades. So it's a shame that he's sort of forced to make them. But he's holding his own, and his score is starting to climb now. Portuguese, I thought, what was his next shipment going to be? It could be coin to age up, but he's chosen to go with economic theory. So he feels like he's in a good enough spot to try and get that eco upgrade in. He's got 58 settler units, so this is essentially, I guess, a 5.8, nearly 6 villager shipment equivalent that eco theory will be paying off as, and obviously it scales from there. So looking to get that in. I think meaning he must feel reasonably comfortable in this position. Although, that's a lot of cavalry coming in onto the jungle bowmen. The plume spearmen do sort of scare them away, though. And behind this, whilst, yes, he's got all that eco, it's a fairly even game. But I think eco theory is going to help him get ahead and get into that late game position, which is really where you want to be with the Portuguese.
Yeah, he's also just picked up the long lines upgrade for his fishing boats as well. So his fishing economy right now is in overdrive. Are we able to check the Portuguese deck and just see what other fishing upgrades he's got? So there's no whale oil in the deck. He does have just that rendering plant, so he's not going to have a super huge economy. But yeah, combined with economic theory, it's going to mean he's getting 40% increase in gather rate just from his shipments. So his economy is going to be looking really great, especially considering he's sitting on 63 settlers at the moment. Yeah. And we haven't even really reached the mid game at this point.
It looks like he's macroing to age up now as well. Steel trap's only just coming in. I guess he's had the fish. Just doesn't need that upgrade. Although there's a lot of starting to siege. This is a good time. I don't know if Nush knows it, but this is a great time to be pushing in, because his opponent is clearly trying to get to the fortress age, which is where he wants to be. Get Castadors, and then you can really be very effective against jungle bowmen, which have that low range, are going to be kind of weak. There's the resources for it, but as a result, he's not training any units, right? So it's going to be... I've forgotten to use this play first button, so we'll catch up a little bit. He's just aging whilst things are being sieged. The market goes down there. So
yeah, you're 100% right. So the perfect time to attack is as your opponent is aging up, because they've just invested a huge amount of resources into everything but units, and now they're trying to do their best to sort of put it together in response, and it just means that you've hit them at the perfect time.
Yeah, here we go. Inca getting a lot of damage done. He's only just got to the fortress age. He's managed to take out a few buildings. Going to take out this barracks and really do some lasting damage there. You can see the units sort of off in the back. A few Chimu being really pesky, killing some villagers. just trying to keep everything safe until these organ guns arrive, which will be the unit that is going to, I think, single-handedly push away all these jungle bowmen and infantry in general. Big batch of colonial militia do come out from the button, the second one as well. Looks like he wants to take, he saw them walk under the TC, and does manage to take down the town center in the back, which is going to be really helpful. But now he's trapped. There's a lot of Minutemen. Minutemen don't actually snare, so that's not really too much of a problem, but cavalry do snare, and he will get caught here. And it looks like all of the plume spearmen are dwindling down quite quickly, and there won't be any more left to take away the cavalry, and that means these jungle bowmen won't be able to escape. And at ports, they got to the Fortress Age, managed to trap Knusch under. He shouldn't have been under that TC. That was really dangerous. And oh, nice pull trick there, getting away the jungle bowman from the snared units. But now organ guns have arrived, and that is, I think, what he was, leaning on to get to this point. But managed to get there earlier because of the Minutemen under the TC.
Yeah, so the question really for me is, was it worth it? Okay, he got the town center, but he's lost a huge amount of his mass as a result. And Conqueror's score has pulled ahead significantly at this point. Now, Conqueror is losing water, or at least he's going to be losing water, because if there's one thing I've learned from the definitive edition, is that these Chincharaffs are nightmares to deal with. There might only be one at the moment, but leave it alone for 2 minutes and there'll be 1,000 of them. They come back like rabbits, they do.
Yeah, they got a lot of range as well. I think at the moment they outrange a falconet, which is pretty absurd. In fact, yeah, it's just stupid. They have 28 range. Like it's just too high. Like where did that come from? So they're very good at the moment. But yeah, you do need to sort of mass them up, and then that increased turn radius they have and that extra range means they're very kiteable as well. So once you get a lot of them, they're good for that reason. Caçadors now coming out. Portuguese has got a lot of these. Pardon me. Well, he hasn't. He's got 10 of these now. But these are going to be very effective against jungle bowmen.
Yeah, compared to the crossbowmen, the Caçadors are just so much of a difference. So they've got the huge range resist. I think the Caçadors have got a 45% range resist. Is that right?
I can't remember what it was changed to in EP. Let's have a look. Yeah, 45%.
Yeah, and so they've got a huge amount of EHP against the jungle bowman, and obviously with the higher range.
Oh, nice volley on the organ gun. Continue.
Yeah, well, geez, you're just seeing the power right there. It's not really the power of the jungle bowman, it's more the weakness of the organ guns. They take a long time to set up and fire, and they're quite weak, and as a result, they go down to just well, it's not a handful of jungle bowmen, but it's not a big amount of jungle bowmen.
Yeah, I mean, often you can talk about, like, poison damage is very effective against artillery because the poison negates the 75% range resist, but in that particular case, I think there was just enough jungle bowmen to kill them outright, so it didn't really matter. This is still a close game, though. Like, I mean, it looks like Ports is in a good position, but remember those foods are going to be running out on the fish soon. He's going to have to switch over to the whales, and he needs to get the map back, which I suppose is what he can do with these Fortress Age units. But Blue's doing a really good job of placing down a stronghold. He's got these war huts from earlier. He's maintaining that trading post route. So this is still a very interesting game, I think.
Are we able to check how many settlers Knusch's on at the moment?
Pardon me? Oh, no. I should switch between these two a bit more, yeah. He's on 39 there.
39 plus the canchers. So how many canchers does he have? I
think he's got all of them by this point, but we can check. 10. He's maybe some were destroyed, but it seems... here come the Haraka.
I love the way they sling. Isn't it beautiful? The animations on the Haraka have been really well done.
Yeah, although it does have a very low rate of fire, and the setup animation is quite long, but, if you can get them in mass, and because they have so much range, that setup animation is sort of less important than, say, on the Bolas Warrior, which is a closer range unit. Yeah, this is what he needs. These things are exceptional. Like, just think how powerful they're going to be against Caçadors, which have a really low hit points, and their range just doesn't matter against the siege damage of the Haraka, which is just the problem of Portuguese against all artillery in general in every matchup. But here in particular, yeah, these Haraka are going to be really, really good. I'm really loving this game. It's just a beautiful illustration of, like, Ports feel really powerful all the time, but if you just, like, don't go under their TCs and keep them all belled up, then yeah. And I think, look at the 600 coin as well. We're gonna see the cannons come.
Oh wow! All right, I think that's going to be sort of the telling moment when those cannons come out. For any player to play against those 4 cannons, it's incredibly difficult because there's 4 of them. They act as culverin, they act as falconets at the same time. And it's so hard to deal with these, especially out of nowhere. He's going to have to put down an artillery foundry. He's going to have to do a training culverin. He's going to need at least 2 minutes to be able to react to this appropriately. And that's going to buy Noosh so much time to be in siege on this town center from a safe distance. There's going to be no threat of the town militia popping out. He's going to be in a wonderful spot, and really he's turned this game around from a point where Conqueror looked like he was in a commanding lead, and now Noosh is coming back to a point where he's the one in the commanding lead.
Yeah, and something else I want to point out with Inca is they do have a card for a town center in Age 2, so in this matchup I think that would have been really handy as well. But he didn't put it in his deck. I fully agree with you on the light cannons. It seems a bit like the adaptability they offer you in Age 3 is it's like you don't even have to worry about cannons too much, because if they happen, you just like, oh well, just get these cannons and you're all good. So yeah, it feels like it's maybe an age too soon or something that this button was assigned. But yeah, in this case, really, really good. I mean, they don't do that much to, well, they ×3 against buildings, but they're still not going to be as powerful as like the massive Hirakas or say Falconets or something like that against buildings. But they, you know, long range, they do good damage. Here comes some Culves. So he is able to. Let's check the range on these. They got 32. The Culves have 34, so they do slightly outrange them. Oh, the Jungle Bowmans, they smell the Culves. They want to go over there and get a volley off, but that caravel being, and rightfully so, pulled to the coast so they can garrison to safety. A bit like having a stronghold, a mobile stronghold of your own, I suppose. Oh, he's garrisoning the culverins in the...
Is he sending some Hirakas over there to take down...
Oh, he is! Oh, no, no, yeah, but not going to get them.
The Hirakas do quite well against ships, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Well, they use their siege attack against them. Thankfully, though, the 4 rate of fire means the ship probably can get out of range before they can throw their volley off. But yeah, these cannons just like wailing on all of the buildings here, and you can't really get close despite having those culverins. It's just like these things give you so much pushing power. Like, it is really, really powerful.
I think from Conqueror's perspective, he must be incredibly frustrated. He never really got a chance to sort of stabilize himself. One of the things that I note is that he never put up walls, and I don't know how much they would have helped him, but I feel like, oh, those chinches, that's so scary right there. That's a losing water moment right there when you see all those rafts.
That's the game. What do you think of the chincher as a like the model and the? I really like the projectiles. That fire 3 of them like missiles.
Yeah, from an aesthetic point, I think the chinches are wonderful. From a game balance perspective, I can't stand them. They are incredibly strong. If you're playing against an Inca in a team game, yeah, you can just pretty much concede water because they're huge, especially when you ship the cards for them that allow chinches to spawn chinches. It gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's. I think this is one of the big problems, the 28 range early on.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that goes up with each age, but perhaps that might be a reasonable idea.
No, it's 28 because I guess it's their only warship. So I suppose the intention was frigates have 30 range, so let's put this somewhere in the middle. But it just turns out that they're like. You can't do it like that. It turns out like they need to be like every other warship in the game. Every other warship in the game in H2 has 20 range. So these having 28 is a lot. Let's put it that way. But I think mostly this game came down to like the Chincha rafts that have sort of just appeared on the map. I don't think that's clearly not won or lost the game. And in fact, the Portuguese has a frigate on the way currently, so that would handle that. What was able to really sort of dig in and push the game to its sort of logical conclusion was these units here that were so, I suppose, quick to adapt into, to pivot into, just because you need 600 coin and a stronghold. And then you can start to take down all these buildings and so on. But actually a really interesting game, quite a long one, much longer than it ought to have been because of the playback issue. So I think that's all of them for, Knuschelbär winning the series. And I think we're casting the next series.